Hi, it's Romy Aquarius. Welcome to your July 2021 Soul Story. If you're new to the channel, this is for Sun, Rising and Moon. And if you're returning, thank you so much for taking the time to come back. So I'm going to open up your reading this month with an energy guide from the new painted rune deck. Runic symbols are traditionally found on stones, originated from the Germanic alphabet and used by Nordic culture. The rune casters would interpret these symbols. Of course, runes means secret, and really try to deliver wisdom that enabled you to connect to your higher self, and really this emphasis around fearlessness. And Sophie from the Painted Tarot has reimagined this rune deck, bringing figures through and blending this idea of courage and heart and connecting to our inner warrior. I love the idea of bringing this forth for July's reading, because there is this sense of facing up to things and being able to break through and find a way to kind of shatter some of those limitations, some of the things that have been holding you back. And we're opening up your reading this month with the energy of Dagas, and this has already shown up for a couple of the other signs through the course of this month, and I love the energy of it. It's breakthrough. It's about beautiful sense of transformation. What does it connect to in terms of the tarot? Think about major arcana cards like the World, the Fool, the Sun, Death. It's about cycles, it's about completion, and it's about this sense of almost graduating to like this next level. There's a really important aspect around timing that's connected into Dagas, and we can see that she's looking clearly up towards the sun. There's beautiful movement here, and you are going to find that this is a month where an awful lot can happen in a very short period of time. We've come out of that Mercury retrograde haze, fully enabling us to kind of see and think much more clearly. And there is a sense of July being able to strip away a lot of the illusions. Now, for Aquarius, I feel like there's going to be this interesting sense of like being able to break a spell. That's what was coming through when I was linking into your energy. So perhaps where you have felt just tethered or attached to a specific way of thinking, a specific situation or person, and almost felt like you've been in a bit of a hypnotic kind of sleepwalking trance. There's something about the energy of July that just reignites something for you. And you know, we have this sort of desire for you to really start with the step that in some instances you don't want to take, because it's the recognition that you're fully in control through the month of July, Aquarius, of your attitude and of your effort. And it's not about chasing things. You know, you're moving forward on your terms, and in that capacity you're going to start to draw and attract things towards you that's much more aligned in terms of things that you want to achieve for yourself. Now we open up with the Painted Tarot and the energy of the Four of Swords, which actually invites some deep quiet stillness, which is kind of interesting, as we have quite a wild, impulsive, progressive energy, and certainly it gives a nice balance actually if we look at Dagas. But because we have this aspect of timing that comes in, there is this moment where you might feel through July that you're kind of almost suspended in between something. You know, something's coming to an end and you haven't yet begun, or you know, the participation of the next level hasn't fully begun yet, and so you feel like kind of slight unease, that slight discomfort. And there's a motive exchange moving in this first part of the month, particularly with all of this energy and water signs, with Cancer, and of course that's into your 6th house. So it's about a firm emphasis on how you take care of yourself, and perhaps there is a requirement through this month for you to just step back and get a little bit of time out, or make sure that you're balancing your body's needs against things that you are having to do, that you are obligated or duty bound to make sure are achieved through the course of this month. Lean in a little closer, Aquarius. Open your heart a little further and your eyes a little wider. There's this sense of needing you to, I say almost like name what it is that you're feeling, you know, because sometimes we can get ourselves kind of caught up in like a stressful, anxious energy, and you know, we're feeling overwhelmed. And I think this idea of overwhelm is going to be kind of playing out through the month of July, but it can be overwhelm in terms of some of the positive things that are going to be coming through, but also in the sense of, okay, what do I do with this? What do I do now? Like, where do I take this? And so being able to kind of really name and articulate the energy and the emotional experience that you're having, I think is going to provide a level of calmness. And that's what you really need. There's a beautiful sense of peace, deep peace and rest and stillness that is going to be available to you as the antidote to anything that feels a little bit more crazy and chaotic. Now, there's a firm emphasis in and around Chiron through the course of this month. It's going retrograde in Aries on the 15th, really inviting us to confront our inner feelings and thoughts and emotions in relation to things. But ahead of that, on the 3rd and on the 7th, it's making sweeter alignments. And this is going to be a beautiful time where you have been doing some of that deeper soul work. And of course, Saturn in your sign the last 6 months, you're really coming to terms with some of those perhaps more difficult changes that are being asked of yourself. But what comes from that is these beautiful gifts and almost instant manifestations in terms of recognition of how it's changed you. And so you are set to see, like, I almost want to say it's like a springboard energy, you know, a leap board. And there's just like that extra momentum that's coming through for you this month of July, Aquarius, where you're really going to get to kind of graduate and give that opportunity to yourself to leave something behind, to put some ghosts to rest, and to kind of allow yourself to understand that there is a limitless amount of light and energy and vitality available for you. Of course, the Ace of Coins as well is a beautiful offer, and it's coming your way at a time when you do perhaps feel a little bit more energetically drained, or the need to step back or just kind of assert some boundaries around you. Perhaps even that you're grieving or coming to terms with something ending or the loss of something, and you're not yet aware of this. You know, you're quietly sleeping or deep in that sort of sense of inner contemplation and reflection. But I love that the brightness and the vitality and the energy of that Ace of Coins is coming in, and there's something about your receptivity in this space that's going to be really important. It's like if it came in when you were kind of flying high and you were like super confident and everything was like aligning beautifully for you, which you are going to have moments of this month, like, rest assured. But it might be like that you just think, okay, I don't have time for that because there's so many other things that are working out for me here. But actually, when it catches you in that moment where you feel a little bit more in need of just like retreating, then it can land in a really beautiful way for you. So however that shows up, whether it's an inspiration, whether it's a direct offer from somebody, whether it's just like this sense of diagnostically be able to understand what your body needs right now from a healing perspective, or how you need to change your rituals. You know, we really need to understand that seasonally we need to change the way that we do things, the way that we approach things, how we nourish and support ourselves, and that when we can work with that energy, it can be far more conducive to us being able to flow with it rather than against it. This is not a time when you're chasing anything. And the Hanged Man, comes in. Now, we've got Neptune retrograde that happened at the end of June, and it does kind of strip away the illusions of things. Now, we've got a full moon in your sign coming in later in the month on the 23rd, Aquarius, and there's something about what gets revealed around that time. Real sense of kind of secrets coming to light, but also things coming to a point of fruition. You might need some additional time to really consider what you feel, what you think, and how you want to interpret something, and decide what comes next for you as a result of that. Remember, Dagaz is about timing as well, and so we might have a little bit of push-pull where you're like, right, I'm ready to go, and you're getting this wild, impulsive, fire and water energy through July that just wants you to keep moving. And at the same time, there is this requirement to just pause and just take a check, like just be fully aware and vigilant to the direction that you're moving, just making sure that it is exactly what you want to invest your time and energy. There's something this month that's really important about having quality over quantity. I think doing less but doing things that really are important, and then kind of almost having this approach, Aquarius, where everything that you do through the course of July needs to be the most important thing that you do. okay? And that sort of mindset, remember, you're in control of your attitude and your effort this month. That sort of mindset means that you're not going to feel, well, I wasted my time, or I wasted my energy, or somehow like, why did I go off on a wild goose chase here? If you just make yourself really present and come to terms with every single thing that you're going to be applying yourself to through the course of this month is really going to be progressive, then there'll be less of that kind of disconnect that can potentially come in and then really have you starting to unravel and pick doubt in things that you've achieved, or what you've already created, or how you've invested in relationships, or how things have been moving around you. So the other thing I wanted to highlight this month is we have both Venus and Mars in the sign of Leo, of course your 7th house of relationships, coming into this really interesting conjunct on the 13th. And it's like this blending of the physical and the emotional, and also in a way that might really surprise you. So it means that where there are people or situations that you could never have envisaged working together, being together, coming together, being on the same page, like there's a really beautiful moment of kind of seeing new solutions and new ways of being able to kind of weave and blend and bring that sort of sense of harmony. And justice comes in here because it is bringing that beautiful balance to a situation that's perhaps had really split energy for you. It's just like you can't keep everybody happy, or you're like, how do I balance these two aspects of myself or my life right now? How is this going to work? And so there's something beautiful about the way that these two planets and how they're going to be moving through Leo. And for you, it could clearly be an emphasis in and around really important relationships in your life, and maybe formalizing things, or maybe coming into much more of a sense of agreement or commitment, in terms of like how you can take something forward. But I also think it can show opportunities where perhaps you didn't see that people were capable of certain things, or you'd sort of overlooked potential in someone, and all of a sudden they're being able to express or to demonstrate or to indicate to you how they can help you or how they can support you. And like we said, if you can lean in a little closer and open your heart and your mind a little further, you might be quite surprised in terms of how some of that help can be initiated for you. It's kind of interesting that we have the sword here from the 4 of Swords directly kind of meeting that sword that's being held by justice. So there's this beautiful meeting point that's coming, and I want to say like meeting of minds as well. And perhaps this is a meeting with your higher mind. So again, in that time of retreat, there's a beautiful opportunity to access a different kind of energy, a different kind of wisdom that's going to be really helpful. Now, you may have found that there has been some quietness from specific people or situations. Maybe you've been expecting progress and things have been held up or delayed, or people just haven't been so forthcoming in terms of what you had initially expected at this point. But we do have some good news making its way towards you through the month of July, with Uranus making some positive aspects with both the Sun and Mercury trines with Jupiter on the 12th. So expect that there will be some opening up of that, which is very conducive to you being able to, like Dagaz is indicating, finding a way forward and allowing something to change and to completely transform. Now, your wounded warrior energy here coming through at the centre of the reading, again, there's this aspect of perhaps exhaustion that's coming up a little bit in your reading, Aquarius. And, sometimes we can be acutely aware of where that exhaustion's hitting. You might have felt it physically over the last few weeks. But sometimes there can be like a drain, like a small hole in the boat. And it's not something that on a day-to-day basis we're completely tuned in or aware of. And yet over time, there's like that moment all of a sudden where you realise, like, my goodness, like this has really been impacting me, and how long has this been going on? And so there's something, again, about things coming to light and that breaking of the spell and that kind of waking up. And, be prepared. Like July's got this vibe of kind of short, sharp bursts of like nuisance, uncomfortable, annoying, provocative, jolty energy. There's a lot of squares and oppositions. Now, sometimes feeling under pressure can really help us to operate at our best and kind of deliver something that we you know, perhaps we knew we were capable of, but, you know, we weren't really motivated to be or to do. So there's this unearthing of like amazing energy that can come from it. But at the same time, if you are feeling a little depleted in resources and energy, that can feel extremely uncomfortable to be put under that kind of a pressure. And so again, there's this moment of you sort of starting with the thing that you don't want to deal with and just kind of clearing it out so that it doesn't dominate and kind of infiltrate your entire experience of the month, because there's this beautiful opportunity with Jupiter moving back into your sign on the 28th, right the way through to December, for you to enjoy, you know, the benevolent expansion and the bounty and the gifts that it has for you. And I think you will be returning to some more positive aspects of things that have been occurring over the last few months, and kind of getting the opportunity to sort of really bed them in, you know, and really apply them to your life in much more beautiful ways. So we have the energy of the King of Wands coming through, fire sign, of course, Leo, Sagittarius, Aries. Is this somebody who, you know, has got you in a little bit of a holding pattern or a waiting game? The thing with the King of Wands is he does trust his instincts, and so sometimes, you know, when he's holding back, it's because he knows that there's going to be a better time or a right time to take action, to invest, to take that risk, or to make that leap of faith. Now, rest assured, with Dagas giving you all of that forward movement energy, you're not going to miss out on absolutely anything that is meant for you at this moment in time. But of course, you've got that Saturnian influence that is kind of feeling like a bit of a tough taskmaster, and kind of at times just feeling like it is holding you back and restricting you somewhat. Now, your King of Wands, I think, has something really valuable and insightful to teach you. So even if you are meeting this energy by way of the expression of a person, male or female, or by way of a situation, and you know, there might be moments where you get really wound up or annoyed, at the same time, like, can you be a little bit more curious about what is being held back from you and how you're interpreting that emotionally? And like we said, if you can kind of name some of the emotions, you're going to have an opportunity with Chiron, you know, really in front and center stage this month, to actually be able to heal and really inner parentness. I mean, it's been a big theme that's come out across all of the readings this month, this idea of like, we need to give to ourselves the things that we desire and seek, you know, the validation, the recognition, the nurturing, the support, the motivation, the safety, the love, the happiness, the respect. And, you know, sort of taking that role on is going to bring this beautiful level of respect that comes through. And I actually have a sense that you'll have a moment where you kind of change your mind, or you change your heart in relation to this particular person. So, you know, if you know them already, perhaps you're going to go through a little bit of a changing cycle through the course of this month as to your thoughts and feelings. But, you know, I think what they're really representing here is a role that they have been required to play in your path right now, that's going to help something at a deeper level for you by way of your graduation, your initiation to the next level, but also like a deeply kind of healing vibe that comes through. You do have this huge emphasis as we move into Leo energy, of course, around relationships. So it wouldn't be a surprise that you're going to see some transformative things happening on that level. And it might not be a fire sign, just be aware of sort of who's kind of expressing that type of energy towards you. If you keep repeatedly finding that you're getting a not yet, it doesn't mean a no, Aquarius. King of Swords, I feel, is really about your energy this month. You know, of course, it links into that element of air. And I have a sense that you are getting very clear because of this breaking of the spell. And it might mean that some of the information, the illumination that has come forth as a result of that full moon needs to be acted upon. You know, I feel you're a little bit cautious in relation to kind of putting your heart on the line with something, but I think that the evidence that you have gathered, or that has been presented to you, is almost irrefutable in some aspects. And you have this kind of like deeper laser-like focus, this forensic kind of ability to sort of see through any kind of a BS and really get to the heart and the root of the matter. And I think that can be extremely beneficial, especially if you are dealing with anything from a legality perspective, or you're wanting to try and formalize, move something forward, get something cleared up. And even if you're thinking about investments, you know, I think toward the end of the month, as we come out of that full moon energy, you are going to start to know exactly where you stand and where you want to kind of see the progress for yourself. Mars moves into Virgo as well toward the end of the month, and that's going to really help you to get an awful lot done in this very short period of time. Now, of course, Justice links into Libra, a fellow air sign, and on the 19th of the month, the goddess asteroid Vesta moves into the sign of Libra. So there's a beautiful aspect of you balancing something out, perhaps between work and home life, or, you know, finding an inner resolve to be able to make a more difficult decision, and one that actually has a really positive, fair outcome for the majority of people around you, is what I want to say. So you have the energy of judgment coming in. It does mean a major life shift has happened or is about to happen for you. It's a beautiful energy of rebirth, Aquarius. And, you know, there are some sacred commitments that are emerging through 6th house and 7th house energy for you, as you really come to terms with kind of what your purpose is meant to be, and how you're kind of allowing yourself to align with that more and more. The overwhelm, I think, is going to be interesting, because King of Swords is going to help you to just be a little bit more pragmatic, and perhaps not let some of that emotional energy of Cancer just kind of seep in and almost put you in a state of paralysis, because we are going to keep moving forward. But again, the Neptunian aspect of, you know, the Hanged Man energy coming through here is taking the rose-tinted glasses off, so that you can merge, you know, fantasy with reality and actually find something really meaningful by way of a way forward for you, which I love. We also have Pallas Athena going retrograde in the sign of Pisces on the 14th. So, you know, tapping into this beautiful sense of innate divine spiritual wisdom is so important. If you honestly knew, Aquarius, like your body's capacity to hold higher frequencies of love and deservedness and abundance, then you would never really doubt what is accessible to you by way of power and energy. And again, this card of death coming through, of course, linking into Dagas. It's the ending of an era. It's the ending of a cycle. You are literally in the transitioning point. You may feel like you're out in the middle of the ocean right now and you haven't seen sight of the land yet, or you can see the lighthouse, but it still feels like you haven't quite figured out how to get yourself to that point. And even though that might feel uncomfortable and bring up some fears, remember, this month is about fearlessness, and we have this aspect of you making decisions and choices to end, to transform, and to allow this movement forward. And you have this beautiful rising phoenix from the ashes kind of vibe as well that comes forward with the energy of death, of course, linking in to that scorpionic vibe, really important. You have powerful, bold energies that are wanting to help you to progress through the course of this month. It is very advantageous to look at this idea of what is quality in your life and where you really want to see progress, and perhaps kind of focusing on these one or two things and really kind of applying your energy towards that. There is this kind of burnout feel that can definitely happen with some of the energies that are kind of being activated in July, and so making sure that you get that right balance is going to be so important to just help you not sort of lose heart over things. But I have this sense of like this Jupiterian energy that's coming back into your sign wants to give you like the whisper, and then the kind of the opening of the floodgates, and some really beautiful gifts. And I think, you know, it's even sort of hitting a little bit into your second house as we sort of work with some of the Jupiter and Pisces. And so even from a financial perspective, you might be quite surprised at actually what starts to show up. There's almost like a karmic kind of balancing out energy here because of this idea of a breaking of the spell. And when that happens, it's kind of like nothing's going to stop you. You get very, very energized, and you feel really motivated towards a specific goal or outcome or a path that you now want to align yourself to. I think some of you might have some major changes of heart around your career or profession, how you want to take things forward, and even, you know, in relation to some specific relationships in your life. Remember, 7th house can also really bring about people who can really help us on our journey. So just looking at the goddess cards and seeing what wants to come in, and you have Urania, perspective. it is all in the mind. Well, you understand that, being this air energy that you are, and the thought forms that you have through the course of this month. You know, we talked about that a little bit last month, didn't we, about where you kind of mindlessly move into these stories, or this kind of you know, almost sleepwalking state, this hypnotic state. And this is where we're kind of coming out of that. Look, she's sort of walking through this gateway, you know, she's holding this beautiful crystal sphere in her hands, and she's in the middle of this galaxy, and there's something so limitlessness about the kind of way she can access infinite source intelligence from this place. And there's this sense of expansion that's coming into your life in so many exciting ways, and we want you to kind of really get a control of your attitude and your effort through the course of this month, so that you can start to wield the energy, command the energy, direct the energy in ways that are much more conducive to how your higher self is now communicating to you. Your perspective is everything. Excuse me. And what we can see here is that, you know, you could look at the wounded warrior energy of the Nine of Wands and say, I just want to give up. It's just too difficult right now. It's just, I've lost my heart in relation to this aspect of my life. And at the same time, you have this beautiful burst of invigorated vitality and energized vibration coming in to support you and to advance you. And so there is going to be that moment. It's like, well, which way do I want to go? How am I gonna kind of allow this to impact my life at this point? Judgment will give you that sense of urgency and finality and permanence to a situation. And as difficult as that may feel, at the same time, it's going to be extraordinarily cathartic and liberating for you, not just now, but in the weeks to come. Dagas is pulling you forward, Aquarius. You can't stay still. There's no stagnancy in your reading. There's rest and stillness and pause, but no stagnancy. So I hope this helps give you just a little bit of extra insight through the course of this month. Just pay attention to that full moon in Aquarius coming in on the 23rd. It's going to be really interesting. And you know, the new moon on the 9th, just helping you to reevaluate and set some new intentions about what matters most to you. Don't chase anything. Be the energy that embodies and therefore draws and attracts what you most need and want in this moment in time in your journey. If you would like to join me for the extended version, we're going to go ahead and just pull a couple of additional cards right now, Aquarius, and we'll check in on that in the next reading. You can find the link for that in the description box and the comment section underneath. And it's just a way to support my channel and my work. I'm really grateful for those of you that invest and that are enjoying the reading, so you want to join me. Let's just begin the Four of Swords, clarifying with the energy of the Emperor and the Seven of Pentacles. You've got lots of divine masculine energy showing up this month, which I think is going to be helpful in just giving you the structure and foundation to perhaps make some bigger choices and decisions. Ace of Pentacles coming in a second time for you here. There's these moments where we have the universe kind of really giving us the opportunity to learn from what may feel like difficult experiences, but just deliver such silver linings for us, really. Keep going and persevere, because the wishes come to fruition here. We've got the energy of death coming in again. You do have some extremes showing up in this reading, which is no surprise really if you then start to feel your energy a little wired or burnt out through the course of July. It just feels like quite chaotic. And again, that emphasis around your health and well-being with 6th house is going to be really important to pay attention to. Okay, Aquarius, I'm going to leave it there. Thank you so much for tuning in. I wish you a beautiful month of July. And if you're joining me for the extended, we'll see you soon. Bye for now.